Hey, real quick before we start, we actually talked a bit about the Xbox FTC case during an episode for Spawn Point over on the Spawncast Network. That was with Jeff Grubb, and it was a good time and well-timed, actually, for its release today. So make sure you go check that out and the Spawncast Network over at spawncastnetwork.com. A lot of really cool stuff going up there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news when it comes to the Microsoft FTC case, all of this around Activision Blizzard. We have a decision. That's right. It's just about over, actually, at this point. And this comes on the heels of what was like a 5 or 6 day hearing where we had all kinds of accounts and testimonies and stuff, and a lot of documents showing us the back end of the gaming world with the business angle in mind. But today I wanted to discuss the decision and how a lot of this is happening in real time now. We're going to have a lot to still go over tomorrow morning in Newswave. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you're new here to the Spawnwave Plus channel. Let's head over here. This is posted up over on The Verge. Microsoft wins FTC fight to buy Activision Blizzard. That's right. We did get the ruling, and it came right around 11 a.m. Eastern time, I think. So, again, not very long ago. But this was in a ruling from Judge Corley, who says Microsoft's acquisition of Activision has been described as the largest in tech history. It deserves scrutiny. The scrutiny has paid off. Microsoft has committed in writing, in public, and in court to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 10 years on parity with Xbox. It made an agreement with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Switch. So keep that in mind. That is in writing there with the judge in the courts, that Call of Duty, I guess, is going to be on Switch in some way, so we'll see how that turns out. And it entered several agreements to, for the first time, bring Activision's content to several cloud gaming services. This court's responsibility in this case is narrow. It is to decide if, notwithstanding these current circumstances, the merger should be halted, perhaps even terminated, pending resolution of the FTC administrative action. For the reasons explained, the court finds the FTC has not shown a likelihood it will prevail on its claim this particular vertical merger in this specific industry may substantially lessen competition. To the contrary, the record evidence points to more consumer access to Call of Duty and other Activision content. The motion for a preliminary injunction is therefore denied, all caps there. And at this point, the FTC can still appeal. There is a strong likelihood that they won't, and they'll just kind of back off and move along from this whole thing. I mean, if you can't even prove in court that they should essentially pause Microsoft's ability to close this deal on Activision Blizzard so that you get a couple of months. I think they were trying to push it out to have additional hearings, another whole court case in August. That, of course, goes beyond what Microsoft had set up previously for the deal with Activision Blizzard, and that was a due date of July 18th to get this whole thing closed up. And, I mean, that's a week from now. So, yeah, if they were granted this injunction, it would have been a really rough time for Microsoft and Activision to rework the deal. Otherwise, Microsoft would pay Activision $3 billion and maybe just moved along themselves. But because this has been denied, things are going to be moving very, very quickly over the next 3 or 4 days. I mean, we're already starting to see some stuff happen right now with the CMA and the UK situation as pressure is being put on them with this current ruling. And I do believe this deal is going to be pretty much done and closed by early next week. Again, just ahead of July 18th. I think there's a possibility it could actually close up before the end of this week, but I feel like there was a 5-day grace period, essentially 5 business days before anything can really happen here. But again, the FTC, I think they are looking at this and realizing, I think we did our job. We at least made it more difficult for Microsoft and Activision Blizzard in this attempted merger. Again, $70 billion. Their arguments at times were really, really weird. And even to us who, I mean, I'm not a law expert with mergers or any of this stuff. And even I'm reading some of this stuff like that doesn't make a lot of sense. The one that really stuck out to me was the situation around Minecraft and a PlayStation 5 version of it, where for some reason the FTC lawyer thought it made sense that, Microsoft should have made the PS5 version of Minecraft, and they didn't because Sony didn't give them a development kit for the PS5, but they didn't make it because of that. Like, as in Microsoft trying to spite Sony or like or kind of come back at them because of that. It's like you need a dev kit to make it for the PS5. There were a lot of those kind of arguments that at face value just didn't make a lot of sense, and clearly it wasn't strong enough to stop what is, I mean, the biggest merger, the largest acquisition, I think just in history in general, not even just tech history, just in history. $70 billion. So maybe the runaround here from the FTC is enough to make other potentially more, I guess, monopolistic acquisitions. Maybe them kind of look at this a bit and say, you know, the FTC, they had a lot of time for that Activision deal. Maybe they'll look at ours a bit harder as well. And I guess that's all the FTC, while they may have been trying to block this and get a win, technically it's kind of a win in the sense that they may be able to cause some doubt in the marketplace when it comes to these sizable acquisitions. And like I said, at this point, just keep an eye on Microsoft, because I think they're going to move to close this thing very, very quickly. And that does also bring up the idea of what will happen after that date. Will Game Pass really just see a massive influx of games from the marketplace with Activision Blizzard titles immediately going in? I mean, it seems like something Microsoft would move to do immediately, especially on the cloud front, to where you can stream a lot of these games through their xCloud or Xbox Game Pass streaming service. I mean, there are a lot of games outside of Call of Duty from Activision Blizzard's history. I also wonder if they have plans to expand things like World of Warcraft that has that subscription base to it right now. I mean, a large number of people still play that game, but could they move it with the engineers and really the overall money behind Microsoft and their Xbox division to Xbox? That's just an idea there, right? There's games that they can bring back, like Hexen was brought up by Phil Spencer, and then obviously that kind of sets up their holiday season a bit more, doesn't it? Because we now know that there is seemingly a standalone Call of Duty in development and preparing for its release in what seems to be 3 to 4 months. Well, that's going to be well after this closing date for Activision Blizzard, which makes me think it's going into Game Pass day one. I mean, I know there's a lot of plans already in place, but that things can change. Otherwise, maybe next year we'll see Call of Duty go into Game Pass day one for the first time, but one way or the other, it's releasing under the Microsoft umbrella, even though technically, yes, I know Microsoft didn't develop the Call of Duty game that's coming out this year, or really even next year. We won't see any of their quote-unquote influence for another 3 or 4 years in Call of Duty. However, they are still publishing the game alongside of Activision and, of course, backing Activision Blizzard, since they would completely own them at that point, which means they would have a release in September, October, and November with Starfield, Forza, and Call of Duty games, those all being that AAA level. And like I said, if Call of Duty goes in the Game Pass day one, that'd be a pretty massive run of Game Pass releases. But if nothing else, I think there's a lot of relief online, because this, what's become a year-long saga, is finally coming to the close, and it's going to come to a close very, very rapidly now. So that's at least good that we can all kind of move on from this, and it didn't feel like a colossal waste of time, because if this injunction was granted and Microsoft moved on from it, that would have felt like a massive waste of time and money on Microsoft's side, and also kind of on Activision's side, because I'm sure the shareholders, investors, the board would have been really annoyed if they missed out on that $70 billion payday, because, yeah, some of the top executives there, along with, yes, Bobby Kotick, they're getting the golden parachute, basically. A lot of money's about to pour into their accounts. But let me know what you guys think about all of this down below, and what do you think Microsoft's strategy is going to be as soon as it closes with Game Pass and that Activision library, and with Call of Duty this holiday. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.